Hello and welcome to a slightly different kind of video where I just wanted to highlight a blog post from Treyarch that talks about the new audio in Black Ops 6. And audio is a big deal in Call of Duty games. I'm one of those people that loved the Modern Warfare 2 Alpha where we had really loud footsteps and really immersive audio, and I think it's because I love immersion. I like being immersed into games. Anyone who watches my streams will know when I'm playing Warzone, I still have the music turned on. I still have the graphics turned up fairly high. I don't turn it all down low to make it like super competitive, to make it as fast as possible. I'd rather be immersed. So having footstep audio and other audio in general that's a bit more realistic, it's quite a big deal to me. So Treyarch Studios put out this tweet. They just did this yesterday where they were saying, from Foley to footsteps, our audio team has been hard at work to deliver the best sounding Black Ops experience for all players. Hear the difference we're making with advancements in adaptive audio, spatial reverb, physics-based acoustics, game sound prioritization, HRTF support, and all new asymmetrical hearing compensation technology. And I've done this blog post about it. So in this video, I'm just going to talk through this a little bit, talk through some of the implications of it, and just highlight it, because I think a lot of people maybe have missed this. It was just posted on Treyarch's Twitter account rather than a main Call of Duty one. So I'll read through quite a lot of this, but then we'll also talk about bits of it. An enemy is firing in a distance and on the move, but they're out of sight. I suppose full screen. As an elite operator, every second counts. Are they down the hall, racing up the stairs, or outside? The audio team at Treyarch is enhancing the 3D soundscape to new levels, allowing players to better sense the location, speed, and direction of nearby activity. Now, this is talking about a lot of changes from previous Call of Duty games to Black Ops 6. I don't know for sure whether all this technology was in the beta that we got to play a little while ago. I did see somebody on Twitter saying that maybe it wasn't active in that and that this is all new, so the game will sound quite different when we get to play it, but I haven't seen confirmation of that. If anyone knows for sure, please do let me know in the comments below. Is all the stuff that they were talking about, was this active in the beta? In the beta, I did notice that you could hear people's footsteps really clearly if they were like in the next room, but you couldn't hear them across the map. Like Modern Warfare 2, you could hear them from a very, very long way away, as opposed to Modern Warfare 3, this year's Call of Duty, where you can't really hear people at all. People can be like full-on tack sprinting behind you, and you can't really hear them unless everything else is silent. Same in Warzone. So it'll be nice if we get something that's a bit of a balance of them. So the adaptive battlefield. As with every Treyarch title, the audio team has redesigned or captured new sound effects for every single weapon in the game, including reload and firing sounds. How the sounds interact with the environment, however, is being pushed to new limits using the studio's most advanced audio systems yet. So the goal for the audio team, Black Ops 6, Colin said, is what we're calling the adaptive battlefield, a more purposeful and directional soundscape that focuses on the information players need when they need it, while reducing the clutter of extraneous noise. And that'll probably be a good thing for anyone who struggled with audio in Warzone over the last couple of years. Lots of us have noticed that if there's things like kill streaks, even if they're quite a long way away, like precision airstrikes and mortars that don't really affect you because they're not like directly above you, that will often cover up sounds like footsteps of enemies that are coming towards you, which, while that might be realistic, you know, oh, a jet flying overhead would make it very hard to hear someone near you, it's not very useful for a game, and obviously Call of Duty isn't all about realism. So it says, specifically, the team has been laser focused on distant firing sounds, giving players information on directionality, distance, and threat level, so they can more easily identify where the enemy operator is firing from and formulate their plan of counterattack. I always thought this would be quite a good thing. In Modern Warfare 2, there were lots of people saying, oh, like the guns not having the red dots on the minimap means what's the point of suppressors? And it's like, I like the idea that suppressors are actually useful just to cover up the direction from where you're shooting. So if you're moving around, you can take some shots, then move, and take some shots and move, and the enemy will be super confused about where you're shooting from. That would be the point of suppressors, to actually suppress the noise would be really cool. So Project Acoustics, taking spatial reverb to next level. And I think this is pretty cool. There's some examples of this for you that are really good. As an expert audio engineer, it's William's job to make sure that all the sound design choices that Colin makes are presented to players in the best possible way. Gunshots and grenades will realistically fill the space around them, he said. Footsteps will echo down long hallways, and the sound of rain and crickets chirping will come in through open windows and holes in the wall. So if you're like in a building in Warzone at the moment and there's ambient sound outside, that sound will just come from everywhere. It will just come through the walls. Whereas in real life, if you've got a window open, you will be hearing the outdoor audio from the direction of that window, because that's how the sound's getting in towards you. And that's kind of what they're talking about there. So he says, don't take his word for it. Throw on some headphones and listen to the two following examples. So this first one is voice lines. So let's play this and just listen to it.
Destination marked. Head for my waypoint.
So that's quite cool there. I think this is quite a nice subtle one, because you've seen loads of video games. Actually, I was just playing Black Ops Cold War on stream, and there was examples of this where you can like, oh, you're in a tunnel, so the sound is really echoey, and then you're not in a tunnel and it's not echoey anymore. That seems to be where most video games have kind of gone. Whereas with this, when he's like out here just in big open space, talking particularly to a load of plants that are going to absorb a lot of the sound rather than reflecting it.
Destination marked.
So that's just quite clear. Like you can hear exactly what he's saying. Then he goes here. So now he's like got concrete on either side. Walks down.
Head for my waypoint.
Down an alleyway. And you can hear some of the reverb. You can hear that there's a little bit of bouncing back off all the concrete, because there's not so much that can, you know, absorb any sound here. There's like brick and concrete and glass and a bin at the bottom, which will give it a slight echo, I guess.
Setting rally point.
You hear that sounds a little bit different again, and then he goes somewhere where there's a ceiling above him.
Head for my waypoint.
So you can hear there's a lot of a kind of a different kind of reverb there, as the sound is like bouncing between the floor and the ceiling. I think that's really, really cool. I think that's really special. It goes inside and it sounds a bit different inside as well.
Destination marked.
So you see there it's quite clear as well, because again, just like outside really, you've got a lot of things absorbing the sound, not as much getting reflected. Even though there's walls and stuff, there's carpet, there's painted walls, maybe even wallpaper, there's lots of objects about. You know, it's the difference between talking in an empty room compared to talking in a room with lots of furniture in it. You can hear that difference straight away, and it seems to be reflected in the game. And I can't really remember seeing this in the game before. I think this is very, very cool. Now, there's a second example here, which is for footsteps, which is obviously super important. This one's only 17 seconds long. So you can hear his own footsteps a bit there. So you could hear that person as they come all the way down, like, and actually, like, they're coming through a sort of like alleyway type bit, and you can hear it as they come all the way down there and then through that gap. Just hear it one more time. I think that's really cool. Also, another nice, I don't know, it's not a touch. I just think it's funny that there's a load of bodies of this person as if they've recorded this repeatedly 10 times by the looks of it on the scoreboard. And then they've just killed the other person rather than getting them to just run outside again. Don't know, I find that kind of funny that when I look at how they record these things. But anyway, so this is quite cool. The idea that you'll be able to tell a lot more about the surface that people are walking on, the direction that they're walking on is obviously super important, but also the speed, maybe elevation changes. Once you get to know the maps, I think you'll have a decent idea of like, okay, you can hear someone on the other side of the wall. Are they walking like through a corridor that's over there, or are they walking in the outside part based on different sound of their footsteps? I think a lot of that stuff won't be intentional. Like you won't be aware thinking, oh, that sounds a bit more reverby, so they must be in that bit with the cover over the top. But it'll just be instinctive. Like you'll just hear them and your brain will be able to work out, okay, this is probably where they are, which is really good. I like to be able to hear where people are from footsteps. I think that's a really good thing. So then there's this as well, which is very cool. So this is just visualizing the physics of sound. And this is actually from Terminus. This is a weird new look at Terminus map. So this is the Biolab cave. And you can see when something makes a sound, it immediately echoes off the wall behind it. But then the sound waves all kind of spread out and diminish across the bigger area. Now, they've talked a lot about, you know, how this works in multiplayer and in zombies, and I think that's really cool that it is going to be a thing in zombies as well, where obviously it's less important in zombies to know like where the zombies are coming from, but it builds up that immersion, it builds up that sense of atmosphere, especially when there's like not many zombies, you know, in the early rounds, and then you're just sort of like hearing them like plodding and creeping down corridors, and you can hear their footsteps from a long way away. I think that's very cool. And then there's another one here which is showing the side view. So obviously, well, if I play back to the beginning, you can see off that platform, it sort of bounces off the ceiling, comes back, so there'll be a bit of reverb there, and then it thins out everywhere else. I think that's very cool. And there's a little bit of sound you can see there. Actually, that's quite a nice showcase of, oh, okay, some of the sound manages to penetrate through into these rooms. So that shows you if something happened over there, you would be able to hear it a little bit in these rooms, but obviously nowhere near as much as you would if you were in the same room as them. I think that's very, very cool. Now, this is talking about the whole, you know, problem that we have in Warzone at the moment of kill streaks and stuff, over sort of, what do they call it, occluding the other sounds, sort of covering them up. It says, in the heat of combat, some sounds are more urgent than others, and Black Ops 6 takes that into account by emphasizing the most important sounds to the player at any given moment. Our new priority system assigns a dynamic priority number to every single sound, which can then be adjusted live in the entire mix, said Colin. The sound of enemies moving towards you, for example, is emphasized more than the sound of teammates at your back. A zombie jumping off a building behind your operator is prioritized over other sounds due to its imminent threat. So they've basically come up with this new way of sorting out audio, where rather than it just being, oh, that's a kill streak, so that's louder, or that's a gun, so that's louder than a footstep, instead being like, okay, how important is this for the player, giving it like a priority, and then if there's nothing above it in the priority list, you'll be able to hear it clearly. And if it's lower than something else in priority, maybe it'll be sort of like deprioritized a little bit. So like a kill streak might be super loud if there's nothing else going on. But if there is a lot else going on, maybe it'll be muted a little bit more, be a little bit quieter so you can hear everything else that's going on. Then now we're getting into stuff that I don't understand so well. So it's enhanced headphone mode. So they're going to use head-related transfer function technology to better simulate how sound is transferred from the game world to players' ears. So apparently this is something where basically you put on your headphones and then you go into the menu of the game and you select this HRTF thing, and you can choose a profile that's been specifically created for Call of Duty, and you can enhance it by making a personalized profile that takes into account the player's physical attributes such as the shape of their ear or head. The customization is accessed in-game and then completed by using Embody's personalization portal. So it sounds like there's some kind of website that you can go to where you can then make a profile for yourself about, okay, these are the sort of headphones that I'm wearing. This is how big my head is, I guess. This is the sort of room I'm in, maybe. And then it will tweak the sounds to make it sound perfect for you. Then there's another cool bit, which is obviously super important, the accessibility support. It says there lots of people suffer from hearing impairments. I suffer from really bad tinnitus, so I've had tinnitus for a few years now. Just constant, very, very loud, like ringing noise that I hear. And so this talks about that, as well as interaural asymmetry or asymmetrical hearing loss, where you have different amount of hearing in both ears. And they also talk about tinnitus here. And basically there's some options. So the asymmetrical hearing compensation lets you adjust specific frequencies in each ear to balance the sound so it makes sense to you. So if, say, maybe you're like really, really low frequencies you don't hear so well in your right ear, you can boost just those frequencies up just in your right ear to make sure that it's all balanced out and it sounds good for you. And then for tinnitus, they can replace the tinnitus-y sound that you get from concussion and flash grenades that can kind of make it worse for people who actually do have tinnitus. You can replace that and sort of dim it down quite a lot. So just a quick video here, but I thought that all sounded really, really cool. I'm excited to see what's happening. I'm excited to see if it does sound different from the beta. Like, now I know about it, I'm guessing I'll be listening out for it a little bit more. Excited to see what it's like. Let me know what you think of it in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one. Goodbye.